We live in a world where temptations are rocketing from all sides. How do we strengthen the intellect to control the mind? Well, let's talk about temptations. Why are they so difficult to overcome? I mean, we've got so many temptations in the world, but they fall into only a few categories. They're all things that make us feel better, or we think will make us feel better. So temptations to eat things we shouldn't eat, temptations to drink things we shouldn't drink, temptations to maybe have relations with people with whom we shouldn't have relations. Those are the most superficial layer. If I eat that, I will feel good. If I drink that, I will feel good. If I smoke that, I will feel good. If I engage in sensual pleasures with this person, I will feel good. Outer layer of temptations. And they're very difficult for a lot of people. I remember, personal story, when I was young, my mother was always on a diet. It's just sort of what people in Los Angeles do. Everybody diets. And my mother's always been very, very thin, but nonetheless, she was always on a diet. And I remember one time we had gone out to eat, and my dad is someone who has always really loved desserts. Now, he's got great discipline. He's a very healthy eater, but you're on vacation. We had gone to Palm Springs for vacation, and we had gone out for a nice dinner, and my dad ordered a hot fudge sundae for dessert. And he and my mom were sitting next to each other in the booth, and I was on the other side. And my dad is also very, very methodical and slow. Not slow in a mentally slow way, but just slow in a very calm way, very peaceful, takes his time. And my mother's much more kind of frenetic energy. And so they're sitting together, the hot fudge sundae comes, my dad is just surveying it, maybe taking in how beautiful it looks. And my mom, by this point, has already picked up her spoon and is eating my dad's hot fudge sundae. And of course, he's very happy to share. The thing was huge. And by the time my dad actually has picked up his spoon to have his first bite, my mom has already had 2 or 3 or 4 bites. And then she decided, that's enough. Like, I'm on a diet. This is a hot fudge sundae. I shouldn't be having it. And so she picks up her glass of water and pours it on top of the hot fudge sundae. That was the end of the hot fudge sundae. I share the story because temptations are so much. I mean, the normal thing would be, well, why didn't she just stop eating it? Like, let your dad eat it. Why did mom have to actually ruin the hot fudge sundae? Because when we're in the grips of temptation, particularly when we are depriving ourselves or disciplining ourselves or controlling ourselves, it feels like a deprivation. And when it feels like a deprivation, the temptation takes on a life of its own. Otherwise, you think, here is this well-educated, intelligent, wonderful woman. What's a hot fudge sundae got on her? She's decided she's not going to eat anymore. She doesn't have to ruin it. She could just put down her spoon. But temptations take on this power of their own. I had to eat the chocolate. So that's our superficial layer temptations. Things we're going to take in that are going to make us feel physically good. Go a step deeper, and the temptations become things we're going to do that may not be physically gratifying or rewarding in the moment, but that are going to make us feel good later on. The temptation to cheat on an exam. We know it's wrong. Teacher goes out to use the bathroom, or teacher's back is turned. The smartest kid in class is sitting next to you. There's this overpowering temptation. I don't know the answer. Maybe I should just, while the teacher's not here, catch a glimpse. Temptation to cheat in so many other ways, to cheat on your taxes, to cheat. So many opportunities the world gives us not to be honest. There are things that we think are going to make us feel better. If I get an A on this exam, whether through merit or not through merit, I'll do well, I'll get into the right university, I'll get the right job. If I cheat on my taxes, I'll have more money. So every temptation looms itself over us with this hypnotic call that if you engage in me, you will feel better. The temptation to shop. We're walking down the street. There's a new dress, a coat, a sweater, a pair of shoes in the window, shouting at us, if you just wear me, own me, you'll feel better. We had no intention of doing it, but the temptation becomes overwhelming. There's a great story. The friend of a wonderful meditation teacher. So the meditation teacher shares this story of a friend of his who every day would go into this pastry store on the way to work, right when he got off the bus on his way to get to work. And every day he would get off the bus, go into this pastry store, buy these pastries, and then go to work. But then the friend decided to exercise discipline over his diet and to stop eating the pastries. So every day he would make this pledge, I'm not going to eat the pastries. But nonetheless, he found himself every day in the pastry store. And so he goes to the meditation teacher, a friend of his, and says, I don't know what to do. Every day I pledge I'm not going to buy these pastries. And every day, without knowing even what's happened, I find myself with this bag full of the pastries on my way to the office. And the meditation teacher says, well, one possibility is you leave your wallet at home. And the guy says, what? You want me to steal them? So this is what happens. I mean, they're so overpowering that even though we have an intention not to, even though we think I'm not going to do it, it's so powerful that if I have to, I'm going to steal to eat them. The trick, or the answer, the solution, is not about controlling them. Because you'll control the pastries, then you control the cake, then you control the hot fudge sundae, then you control the alcohol, then you control the cigarettes, then you discipline yourself to be loyal to your spouse, then you discipline yourself not to cheat. It's constant. The universe is full, as the question says, temptations are rocketing everywhere we look. The only solution is to understand that within I'm already full. The only solution is what we talk about, intellect. Not the intellect that you get in college or university or in books, but the real power of discrimination that makes us understand I am not my senses. I am not this chemical and electrical pattern in my brain that says eat or drink or smoke. That's what's going on in our brain. It's just a pattern. It's a pattern of electrical and chemical firing that has formed a neural circuit with our reward center. That's all it is. But every time we give in, what we're doing is we're telling ourselves, all I am is a light bulb. Circuitry goes up, I'm on. Circuitry goes down, I'm off. All I am is chemical and electrical patterns of behavior. No. We've talked so much over the last few nights about who we are, about the divinity of who we are. And the best way to overcome any of the temptations is not through discipline. It's not this, I'm not going to have it. Because today, as I said, today it becomes the hot fudge sundae. Tomorrow it's the cookie. The next day it's the cigarette. The day after it's the whiskey. But is to recognize, who am I? And this is where spiritual austerities come in. If you look at the Hindu tradition, the Indian spiritual practices, what you're going to find is so many practices of austerities. We fast. We stay up all night.